And so this is Sidmouth Folk Week, and it's a most unusual festival in England because generally speaking a festival happens in some enclosed land somewhere with a fence around it. This one is actually spread right throughout the town, and so a lot of the action takes place on the promenade, which is what you can see here. And it's such a lovely relaxed festival because people quite spontaneously feel happy to play their music wherever they like this little group of people are so doing. And you just walk through different parts of town, you encounter different venues in the back of a pub garden, on the street. There are all sorts of Morris dancers performing. This is an event that attracts a lot of Morris practitioners. So it's a really unusual festival because you can just be in the town and enjoy a festival atmosphere as well. There was a wonderful firework display on the last night. And yeah, really recommend that first week in August. If you're ever free, go down to Sidmouth and take in the festival, English style. Good morning everybody. And it's a fine sunny morning in Sidmouth. We can hear the church bells in the distance. And I'll take you on a little tour of this seaside town today. So this is where my mum lives and this is where I'm staying at the moment. So I'll take you off on a little tour. So this flat of my mum's costs an astonishing £327,000 for a two-bedroom flat and a garage. It's very nice, but it's a lot of money, isn't it? That's what it seems to me. Very lucky to be able to stay here at the moment. So this is the way to the town and it's the way to the sea. I'm going to make a little bit of a thing about how people in England are like so obsessed with signs. We have signs for absolutely everything. So I'll make a little bit of a point of this as we go along. One of the things about this part of the world is the roads are narrow, as you can see. And I'm going to introduce you to one of my favourite shaped houses. So I love the fact that of the roundish shape, and all those are what we call flint stones, and usually they're put in a random jumbled manner, but this one they've decided to go for the orderly look. I just like the shape of this house so much. And this is the theatre. Sidmouth has its own theatre. It's quite surprising for such a small place. And it's actually run by the council, the local authority, so it's not a private business at all. And yeah, that's the sea already. It's such a short walk to the sea here. And I guess this is what this place is famous for. Although it's England, we managed to have palm trees surviving. I don't know how they manage it, but they do. So it's because you get the mild summer and the mild winter, we never get really cold here. That's the idea anyway. There seems almost a love of being able to say no in this country. Nothing can prohibit. Let's put up a sign to say so. There are two sporting activities beloved of Sidmouthians. I'll put the sign for you. So this is the croquet lawn where they play croquet, that most aristocratic of games. It involves hitting a wooden ball gently with a mallet, and the ball is meant to go through the little hoops you can see there. And then in the next field we have the bowling green. Oh no, this is actually croquet being played, okay. Right, I got it wrong, this is croquet. There's another little sign for my collection. This is what we call the Prom, short for promenade, which literally means in French to walk. It's busy along here pretty much every day, regardless of the time of year, regardless of weather. There's usually a lot of people about here. And these are the rowing boats. Teams of people get into these boats and row. Quite sweet, really. And some sailing going on. It's actually Regatta Weekend, so there's lots of sailing boats out today. It's definitely time for me to get into the water. That has to be the quintessentially English site, the sandcastle. Very difficult on this beach, there's not much sand, but just enough, luckily. This is your England on a Sunday afternoon in the August bank holiday. New fashion we have here is little tents that go up on the beach. Even the deck chairs belong to the council here.
Made, but some excellent drawings. And the first names I'm going to give are to young children. Reuben at number 21, and then Max at number 55. They would come out, please.
This is the home of the lifeboat. Pretty much every single seaside town has its own lifeboat.
Jensen, is it? Well, Jensen and Amelia, they come out now.
So this is a regatta. I really don't know what it is, except it's to do with boats and involves a lot of shouting through loudspeakers. Other than that, I have no idea. And what's special about these tulips? So they're made of such a soft sandstone, they're collapsing. And this is the River Sid, and it's called Sidmouth, because this is the mouth of the River Sid. a very old-fashioned type of shop, which have pretty much disappeared from most towns, but still exists here. Here's another very old-fashioned shop. This is my mum's favourite restaurant, where they do very good fish and chips. And this place sells ice cream so large that they're almost impossible to eat. It's a very good pub for live music. So the church you just seen is where we had my father's funeral, and this is where we had the reception for his funeral in this building here. It's one magnificent sycamore. Perfect bit of thatching. A classic English town garden. Same garden. And back to the house whose shape I like so much. So that's my little tour of Sidmouth for you today. And that's my mum's flat balcony on the first floor there. Hi there, Mum. Thank you.
I'm going to show you around my flat for your DVD, for your CD, what is it?
YouTube.
For your YouTube. So this is a hall. It's quite spacious, but not very well lit. Cupboards, and bearing cupboards. First of all, we're going to the sitting room. You go first, and you can see it's quite spacious with the wonderful windows. If you not to film that little corner as well, because the mirror reflects the light from the windows.
It does very well, actually. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a view from the road down on my balcony. Shall we go out? You want to
Yeah, sure.
On the balcony.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yes, if you look over here, if you get a nice shot of what's Orchard Hill, the Mutters Moor up there.
Oh, okay, yeah,
That's
yeah,
also
I can see that.
From this corner, it's probably and then from here, and then we've got our not very attractive looking blocks of flats, but in rather nice gardens.
Okay.
We'll do our bedroom, and the best thing about my bedroom is that it's got a wonderful view of Salcombe Hill, which is quite superb, I think.
Yes, beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And the sea, of course, is just beyond that.
Yes.
Weeping Poplar, I think it is.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
And that has had, until very recently, a very beautiful orchid in the window. It's been there for months, most of the year, in fact. And it's just about to drop its last two flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Small and there is, of course, another blue. That is necessary, absolutely. Yeah. Airing cupboard, just broom cupboard here. All the stuff. Well, that's it.
That's it. Thanks very much. It's great. Yeah. Well, we've only got 1% left and the camera's about to die, so that was perfect timing.
Oh, good.
So my next port of call is to go and visit my sister in Dartmoor. Not so very far away, probably about 50-60 miles, something like that. Good morning, everybody. And those of you who know me well enough know that when I wake up in the morning, the first question I ask myself is, where am I? Well, this morning I wake up in my sister Jane's house, and when I open my eyes, this is what I see. So this is the room I stay in when I'm here. I really like it, especially like the colours. So this is really like the home education room or study. One can't pretend it's a dining room because they don't eat in it. But I think it's a very lovely room. And it really is calling out for me to film today because although the camera's not capturing it, there is some blue sky out there. Yep, there you just about see it. So my sister lives in southwest Devon, quite close to the border with Cornwall. And there you are, there's the view out of the bathroom window. And we see, no word of a lie, the sky is blue. This is what Horrabridge looks like. A very small town. Quite close to Plymouth. Now what's very rare in this part of the world is a sunny day with blue sky, so if I get the opportunity I'll show you around the village. So here we are then, I'm going to take a little stroll through the kitchen, which has a mighty fine Aga. A nice old-fashioned tap, which I do like.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Is that the thing you always film with things with?
Yep.
No wonder the films are so good. I was saying, I wonder how you can get such good film on a telephone.
Oh, well, some of it is from the phone, actually. I only started using this recently. But this is slightly better, I've discovered. So this javelin is actually pretty darn good at sticking in the ground. And hopefully Angus is going to show me how well it sticks in the ground in a moment. Yay! Perfect. Teigan in the tree again. So I'm off on my little walk to the centre of the village. I've arrived at my sister's place. She has this really lovely house in a traditional Devonian village called Horrabridge. And it's one of those villages which is blessed. It's not had the heart ripped out of it through big supermarkets. They still have lots of their own individual shops. And all the shops are locally run businesses, which again is becoming increasingly rare in Britain. Still have the cat on top of the car there. You can just notice the way the houses are built. They've got a very different feel from the houses in Germany that we looked at in that film. Yes, the stone is very distinctive here, no question about that. Local materials used to build the homes. The heart of any English village is the post office. So the heart of any English village is the post office, and it still has one of those, which is great. And there's a local shop as well. Notice boards. And as a quintessential English village, they certainly sell wool. An important part of the village post office. Very much like the feel of the place. This is actually a day of exceptionally good weather. They get a lot of rain in this part of the world. But at the moment I'm filming, it isn't doing that at all. Open the distance so you can see one of the pubs. The other heart of the village is the river. This is one of these traditional metal bridges with a place that you can step away from the cars. And there's the waterfall, and on to the left there's a special salmon run which enables the salmon to swim upstream without being blocked by the waterfall on the right. And to the right of the river there's the children's play park. And what we're approaching is a couple of pubs. That's actually the Horrabridge village sign there, yeah. There's a play park. So on the left hand side we've got the pub, and to the right there's a baker's. So on the right's the baker's, and they've also got the village chippy, the chip shop. There's a really unusual menu including Mexican and other specialities, very surprising to see. And of course the fish and chip shop. Yes, there are still signs of the Queen's Jubilee with the flags in the village. Still some remaining. It's been a funny year for Britain, what with the Jubilee and the Olympic Games. There's been more flag waving than ever before. I just like that building. It's so decrepit and it's just there and no one's developed it. I think that's one of the endearing qualities of England. You get places like that. And just my showing you signs. We're such a sign-orientated country. And there would have been a railway station here at one point, but of course it would have been closed back in the 1960s when so many of them were cut. And that proves there would have been a station here once upon a time, even such a small place as this. So I'm just taking a slow walk back to my sister's place. This is a good example of an allotment garden. Lots of places in England have this facility where people can rent a piece of land and grow their vegetables on it for a very, very small price. It's called an allotment. It's a really good thing that we have in Britain. You notice that was called the Old Barbers. You've got a lot of houses which have been turned from having a business function back into people's dwelling place. It's a lovely little area to sit, small though it might be. We have a funny mixture in this part of the world where everything is really quite cramped up together compared with many countries, but then sometimes you go beyond the road and then there's a lot of space with people having quite large gardens. It's quite an affluent area. Well, I never expected to see you up there. No, definitely not. This is my niece Teigan. I'm going to ask her to give us some of her views. So this is my niece Teigan, and I thought this might be an opportunity to ask her if there's anything she would like to share with the wider world out there. She's had the most interesting and unusual life. She's home educated, so she has never been to conventional school the way most people have in this society at least. So, yes Teigan, if there's anything you would like to say, just whatever comes up really.
I suppose what shaped my life most is my attitude towards the universe and how it shapes us and how we shape it. I think everyone can make a difference if they just have the right handhold in the right places.
Yeah.
I don't mean this in a kind of everyone can make a difference by setting up their own job or by doing their very own thing.
Yeah.
Because that won't work. No one person actually has the correct leverage in the right place. What you have to do is, as far as I can tell, is gather the right acquaintances.
Yeah.
Have the right money and have the right time. If you have those things, then you can shape the universe as much as it shaped you.
Right, so therefore with that attitude, that gives you the possibility to make the universe the way you wish it to be, is that right?
Well, I wouldn't put it quite like that.
No, how would you put it?
You can do your very best to change it for the better or the worse. You can hardly shape it to fit your exact mould of life. You can't shape anyone to fit that. But you can try to make it fit a slightly better one.
Okay. So back to the conversation we had just after lunch to do with other dimensions and the mind. You were saying something interesting to me, which is that you didn't see your mind as being narrowly focused, but it's expanding and have a more of a broad awareness about different possibilities every moment.
I suppose I did rather put it like that. To tell you the truth, what I meant is that I'm a bit light-headed and addle-brained, which leads me to think about lots of random things. Most of them referring to the universe and how it connects with other universes.
That's what interests me.
Which could be in this universe, outside this universe, and all around this universe. I'm not saying everything focuses on this one. I'm just saying that there could be so many infinite possibilities for everything at every time that you really have to cling on to this one.
Because this is our point of leverage, as you were saying, I seem to remember.
Yes. And this is also where we are right now and our home.
Yeah.
We need to keep that.
Yeah.
And those people who lose that and no longer care about how the world is, or don't believe that the world is changing.
I've come across people like this, yeah. Yeah.
They can't really do all that much good in the world.
Yeah.
Because they have no actual grasp of how it is at the moment. You have to be able to have this grasp of how it is at the moment in order to shape the future.
Yes.
We look on the past, we are in the now, but the future is what we shape.
Through the choices we make?
Through the choices you make.
Through the choices we make. That's pretty cool. Thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to say on the subject?
Not that I can think of.
Well, I thought that was pretty succinct, personally, which is always the achievement with these things, is to be able to come up with it in a succinct manner.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
I suppose so.
Well, thank you very much for that, Teigan. Thank you. Cheers. Now here's proper weather. It's very cloudy. It's just been raining. Might rain any time again soon. I don't know why, but somehow, out of all the views that I desire to show you, I feel this perhaps summarises things about this part of the world so perfectly. It's a good sturdy seat. It's completely covered in lichen, which means lots of life forms having a great time, and my goodness me, is that seat wet. And this is the road back. I'm driving along Dartmoor, and this is what it looks like. As you can see, there's very little to see, so I'll be on my way. Well, it stopped raining for a moment, so I'll just give you a little view of what it looks like. Dartmoor is one of those places which is still wild, unspoilt nature. There's no development here. The very few towns are incredibly well looked after. And it's a place where the animals are allowed to run wild. Both the cows and the horses, especially the Dartmoor ponies, which are particularly bred to be very, very miniature, and they have a great ability to survive in what is actually quite a hostile terrain, especially in the winter time and sometimes the autumn and the spring. The weather can be very harsh, very wet and cold. It's a place you have to be very careful because the weather can change very abruptly. And if you're walking, you can suddenly find yourself hopelessly lost, so you have to be very careful on Dartmoor to be well provided for with compass and such like. But it has a very special beauty to it, Dartmoor, and it's certainly a place to visit if you ever get the opportunity. Now we're back in Sidmouth. So the seascape in Sidmouth is something that's always changing. It's actually such a powerful sea that it completely reshapes the beach from day to day. and sometimes it shows you its gentle, calm face, and today we've got exactly the opposite going on. It's wild, it's murky. This is just to show you what the promenade looks like from the other side, the buildings. This is to show you it's still a fishing village, and they sell fish from this little shop right next to the park. And again, it gives you the idea about England. Everything, I wouldn't say it's squashed up together, but you have to make good use of space, so you find things butting up against each other. A really good thing to see is a play park being enjoyed by lots of children. This is my walk to the ford. So this is the River Sid, and it's flowing too strongly for people to be able to use the ford today, so that's why the gate was blocked. There's a good day for water showing its power today. So we're now heading towards what is called the Buys. This is some land which has been bought more and more over the years. It was the very first town organisation to be formed, apparently. And what they did is they formed an organisation and they put together their money and they just bought pieces of land. And they started off at what is the old toll house here, which is this building with the columns. And they've actually got such a large piece of land that goes for some miles all the way up to Sid Ford. And it's all totally public land, made use of by many people. A lot of flint in the building here. So it's truly a gift to all the people who come here this part of the world, the Buys. It goes on like that for miles, lots of trees, very beautiful. There's a very beautiful part of the world here. So that's the way up to the Norman Lockyer Observatory, where it's possible to go of an evening and watch the stars in the night and the planets through the telescope they have there. And the cinema is also owned by the local authority. This is the Conservative Party Club. Now England is full of charity shops, and Sidmouth is no exception, so there's one. There are 6 in the town, and what they do is people give them things and they sell them and they take the money for charity. This has become such a big business, they get good tax breaks from having their shops there. But now it's a major part of the English economy with things that are sold in charity shops. And they sell all sorts of things, as you can see. This is an olive tree, highly prized, because of course they just can scarcely grow in Britain at all. The bowling greens, and that's a rugby club. This is a really interesting building. So now it's someone's home. I'm just keeping on with the signs. And there's some magnificent brown apples on that tree, just at the edge of the garden of this old chancel. This is a place that excels for the beauty of its gardens. There are so many delightful gardens in this district here. I'm very grateful to my mum for showing me around this little part of Sidmouth that I might otherwise never have noticed. There's only one way in, the roads are incredibly narrow, and this really is what people talk about English gardens being so interesting, and people from other countries really do value the way that we have this relationship with plants and the way that we put them together to make a garden. So I was really entranced by this little area of houses. Each house, if it was to be for sale, is probably worth way over £1 million, because that's what happened to house prices in Britain over the years. I really enjoyed walking around that little area. So now I'm taking you out of it and on the way back towards my mother's flat. In the distance you can see a thatched house. I'll get a little bit closer in a minute to be able to see them better. Here they are. So thatching is very popular in Devon still, and in fact there's a guy called Mark Smith, and that's his job, Master Thatcher. He does thatching for a living and he has so much work in this part of the world. It's nice to see his traditional crafts being kept alive, and there's a good local bus service that gets people to and from Sidmouth. Thanks for watching, everybody.